Amanda, welcome to the podcast. Lovely to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'd love to start by just going into your background. Could you give me a bit more color on your journey and your current role at Ocado?
Absolutely. I started my career at Bain in consulting. So I did a lot of different consulting projects through from retail, consumer products, and private equity as well. And I was there for about 7.5 years or so. I started in the London office, had the opportunity to live in New York and in the New York office as well. And along the way, I did an externship at Innocent Drinks, the juice and smoothie company. And I joined Ocado Retail about 2.5 years ago, first as a head of strategy and chief of staff to the CEO. And now I am the director of customer experience. And the role is really interesting. I look after a few different areas from CRM, so communicating to our existing customers, retention and customer growth, trade and campaign marketing, as well as loyalty and propositions, so our app and our delivery pass as well.
That's amazing. Thanks for walking me through that. And since moving out of consulting, that's a huge transition. How did you find that?
I really love the transition. In consulting, we're really very much focused on project-based work as well. And I've always loved knowing what happens after we make the recommendation. So part of what I really wanted to do is move into a more commercial and more operational role, which is what I'm doing today. It really helps that Ocado is really fast paced, a lot of really smart people, and just amazing team to work with. So from that perspective, it was a really nice, easy transition that way. But actually, a lot of the skills I learned within consulting are really transferable wherever you go, and actually wherever. When I started Ocado as well, so a lot about transitioning how I use those skills in a different context was definitely a big learning for me.
I can definitely imagine. And a lot of our audience will come from a management consulting background or might currently be working in consulting. Do you have any advice for anyone looking to make the shift?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, there are a few different advice. I think one, as for anyone who's thinking about their move out of consulting, is really thinking longer term. What do they want to do? What are the things and skills and experiences that might help them get there, and therefore work backwards from that to see what are the steps to take to get there. I think the second one is really thinking about what is the learning path that will be helpful for them. And so it's not just about the next move, but also the move after that too. And three, I think talk to as many people as possible. I spoke to a lot of mentors, I spoke to a lot of peers who've made the move as well. And for me, it's just really interesting to learn from different people. There's no one career path, so actually learning from them and having a sounding board is really important for me as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And just moving on slightly to a different topic, um, in terms of mentoring and coaching, I'm sure you've probably utilized that at various points in your journey. Could you talk me through your relationship to mentoring and coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been really fortunate to have a lot of mentors and sponsors throughout wherever I've worked in the past as well. And there's sort of more formal mentors within Bain, for example, where they're champions for my career development, my longer term progression, but also my development plan as well. So that's been incredibly helpful to have someone who's done it before help guide me and steer my thinking around that. But also some of the informal mentors, people I've worked with, people I just get on well with, who might have done something slightly different. It's really helpful to have that sounding board of what to think about my longer term career path, but also take some perspective from the day to day as well, and really look at the bigger picture. So those are some of the really important relationships I've had within my career, and I try to give that back a little bit as well with some of my mentees, both at Bain and at Ocado as well, and try and help steer their thinking around their career path, their development, and help them kind of lift up and thinking about their bigger picture as well.
Cool. No, that's really interesting. Thanks. And just moving on to a slightly different topic that seems to be everywhere at the moment, artificial intelligence. What is your perspective on that, and how it will evolve in your space?
I mean, AI is definitely the hot topic at the moment, and I mean, it's worth saying that AI has been around for a really long time, and Ocado, for example, has been using AI for decades now, and probably one of the reasons it's a pioneer within the online grocery space. of course, the last few months or so, generative AI has been the big hot topic. And I think it's a really exciting time to explore that. I think it really helps us be able to use AI in a better way to crunch the data, really understand our customers, really thinking about how do we do a much better job for our customers to solve their pain points as well. And two, I think it's really powerful to be able to look at different longer term trends, food trends, for example, in the industry I work in, to spot what will customers do want in the future, but also how will they shop in the future as well. And I also think it really kickstarts some of the more creative processes for a lot of the teams as well to think about the content generation especially within the marketing world. So I think that's really exciting.
Cool, absolutely. And how do you feel that AI will change the experience of the customer over time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're exploring using more generative AI at the moment. We've been doing a lot of that as well, and I think by being able to understand our customers better and use the data in a better way means that we can be more personalized with how we interact with our customers. So from communications we send out to our customers to the way we recommend different products to them, so that we can essentially take away some of the pain points and make their grocery shopping even easier than it is today. So that personalization piece is really, really key, but also making it more relevant for them. So really thinking about how they shop and making it more relevant to that person, which might be different to how you shop as well. So I think that's really amazing in terms of what generative AI could do. I think the other side of it is also bring some interesting content, something that is quite more stands out and more distinctive to the customers, so that we can really try and capture their attention as well. So I think definitely around the personalization space, especially in the area I'm working in, and two, how do we remove the pain points on helping make the shopping easier, both on site as well, and recommending different recipes to them to try to inspire them to try something different as well.
Following on from that, do you think customers respond well to the personalization piece? Is that important to customers nowadays?
Yeah, I think, I read a research recently, I think something along the lines of 70% of customers in the UK just expect personalization. And from their brands, if people want personalization, people expect their brands to know who they are, know what they want, and know when to speak to them as well. So it's becoming more and more important, especially as businesses have more data about their customers. It's really important to be able to use that in the most relevant way possible. But there's a fine line as well. You don't want to be too personalized in a way that is a little bit infringing on people's personal side of things. So it's also around how do you make the fine balance of helping customers get over the barrier and actually help them shop better, recommend better, but also make sure we are doing the right thing for the customers. Ultimately, personalization is about improving the customer experience and making it easier for them to shop in the future.
And do you feel the positives outweigh the negatives when it comes to AI?
I think it's really early to say at the moment. I think there are a lot of unknowns, but as it stands, I think there's so many opportunities to be using AI in a way that can help experiment things better, try things faster as well. So hopefully, yes. But I'm also very conscious of some of the risks and challenges with AI as well. So I think I've been to a lot of different talks around AI recently, and one of the topics is really around using AI responsibly. So as with any technology, so how do we use it in a way that is responsible for the businesses, for data privacy, but also customers, and also in a way that we can really help the teams understand why and when we use it, and create some guardrails around that too. So I think it's exciting, but need to be mindful of how we use it in the future.
Okay, that's really insightful. And do you see any potential challenges ahead with leveraging AI?
Challenges ahead. I think there are some interesting points here around, actually, as brands use more generative AI going forward, how are they going to be distinctive from each other? How do brands keep that distinctiveness if they're all using the same tools in the future? And I think the second one is probably more about the data pieces around how do we use data and who actually ultimately owns the content in the end. So I think those are probably the two main challenges I would see. But again, going back to some of the guardrails pieces, what businesses can do, what we can do ourselves is really making sure we are using it in the most responsible way possible, and setting clear rules, clear principles about how that works and how actually, we still need teams to make sure they can sense check in and make sure it's still the right thing for the customers in the end.
Thanks a lot, Amanda. Some really interesting points that we covered today. Do you have anything that you would like to add?
I think on the AI point, of course, as with any technology advances, it's really important to stay on top of it, really understand how that works, and try and find ways to upskill through training or online courses as well. I think it's just a really interesting area to keep exploring, both as an individual, but also as part of a business as well. So I think that's a really exciting way to keep learning. And I'm certainly doing some courses myself too.
It's been a pleasure to have you. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.